Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Young Leading Leadership. And this time, this is edition 38, but we're going back to have it all over again. We couldn't have it on Wednesday, so well, sorry about that. So we're going to be starting right away. Okay. So we will begin. Okay, very good. So I'm going to read Mr. Lindani's profile and then we will begin. So Mr. Lindani is a poet, speaker and writer. The call of his work is highlighting the importance of growth, personal development and living your purpose. He's a firm believer in using his voice and abilities as a catalyst to ignite action in others. Poetry for a long time has acted as an outlet and a reflective process and an opportunity to delve into topics of change, social themes and personal development. Mr. Lindani uses his voice and ability and creative high to uplift and bring awareness to issues affecting his culture, generation, and the world at large. Outside the creative world of poetry, Lindani is a leadership advocate. He's a founder of the NIDAM, an organization focused on empowering and training, developing young people into leaders. Lindani was founded on the notion that every person has the potential to live a purposeful life, transform and empower others. Lindani's creative voice of poetry and leadership organization allows him to have the conversation necessary for community impact and personal transformation and growth. That is our speaker. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. I'm really happy to have this session with him. So we're going to start right now, and then we're going to begin. Okay, let's go. Okay, very good, very good. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good to see you.
I want to say a big thank you, really big thank you, very, very big thank you to accepting my invitation. I really like. Let me just briefly say this publicly. So when first time I spoke to you on a call, I'm like, whoa, this man is very powerful. I was like, this is where you put your words together, and then I'm like, no. I need somebody like this to speak, to young people, and I'm really grateful that we have you in your life. Thank you so much. And
No, it's a
I
pleasure.
your profile already, and then the floor is going to be yours. I think we have about 40 minutes and 30 minutes for the speaking, and then 10 minutes for questions. Yo, done.
Awesome, awesome. So I believe first of all, thank you for having me. I don't know if you know this, but you are such an inspiration, bro. You know, young brother in Nigeria. Let me just say in Africa, in a continent where there's so much it could do better, but it's not doing it. And there's every reason in the world to have an excuse. And you have decided to say you're not going to focus on anything stopping you, and you're going to make something of yourself. For me, that's inspiration, because I'm sitting here in the UK and I'm saying, ha, if that guy is doing it, what excuse do I have? So I just want to say, no, honestly speaking, thank you so much for doing what you're doing and adding value, not just to yourself, but to people. I think that is what leadership is living by example, is being proactive, is taking action when it seems like not taking action is the easiest thing to do. And you're doing that, bro. So I can't wait for the day we meet physically. I can't wait to come to Ghana or Nigeria and we can do stuff with young people. But listen,
Very powerful, very powerful.
Just want to thank you for reaching out. But I believe we're speaking about the whole notion of redefining leadership, because from our culture and what we've known, leadership is all about the position, is about the title, it's about the age, it's even about the gender. Are you a man or a woman? Right? And I think that for a long time we focus on, I want to bring this leadership thing more to us as a people, the African
Exactly.
We focus more on the titles so much that we forget that the position and the title does not make the person. The person makes the title and the position. If the position made the person, then all presidents will be the same. All pastors will be the same. All heads of a house will be the same. There's a reason why they're all different. The reason why they're all different is because the person in the position makes the position, not the other way around.
Wow.
And for a long time, we've been raised to think and see position as what makes us who we are, when in reality, we're the people that make the position relevant. But if you're coming from a culture that really embraces titleship, that sees somebody being your elder to mean everything, and to me, entitleship to mean what I say goes just because I'm older than you, or what I say goes because I have this position. And then when you challenge it, it's like, oh, that's disrespectful. Because as soon as you use terms like that, you sort of excuse yourself from answering the right questions or answering questions that you've been asked. We put ourselves in the position where we undermine the power that we have in creating positions. And for me, it's very simple, bro. Leadership is not really about positions in itself. It's not about being a president or being a prime minister or being a president of a student union. Leadership is really about creating position for others.
Wow.
Right? If you're not creating opportunities and position for other people, empowering other people, allowing them to reflect their truest self and allowing them the room to grow and develop, then I don't know what leadership is. Right? So if I were to when I come to Nigeria and we're going around universities and schools and talking to people, we will have this discussion. And I hope they start to see that to be a president, you don't have to be in the position of a president to be a president. Being a president is about caring and looking after your people. You don't have to go to university to know how to care and look after your people. You can start caring about your people right there in that university, right there in that village. You see? So sometimes, because we've created this notion of position meaning so much, we forget the ingredients. You know what I mean? What actually makes the soup? That yam you're eating, that ogbono soup, what's making it? What's the ingredient in it? You know? And you realize the ingredient that's in it, or what makes you a leader, is not, you don't have to go to university to learn that. You don't have to be rich to learn that. You don't have to be, in fact, you don't have to have anything to reflect it. It comes down to one thing. It comes down to choice. When you become a governor, when you become a president, when you become a father, you become a mother, you have to choose to say, this is what my values are going to be. This is the impact I want to have. And this is the life I am going to live, with or without the titles. When the titles come, yes, they give you position of power to an extent, but you are the one influencing that position. You're the one shaping that position. All right? So my message to young people is, start seeing leadership as a relationship.
Wow.
Instead of a position. Start seeing it as a relationship instead of a position. The relationship you have with yourself, the relationship you have with people, the relationship you have with your colleagues, your friends, your family members, your siblings. That's what leadership is. It's really a relationship. Right? So it's not really getting people to just do things. That's not what it is. You know, it's about building the relationship that inspires people to do the things that benefit everybody, but at the same time allowing everybody to become their better self.
Wow.
This guy.
This is too much. Wow. Let me repeat that again. You know, he said young people start saying
right now,
leadership as relationship instead of position. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. It's and imagine if you start teaching young people like this at school. That I don't want you to be a doctor because of the position. I want you to be a doctor because I'm training you to save lives and care about people's health. Oh, I don't want you to be a lawyer because it makes me look good when I come to London and I got my, you have your gown and I can post it on Instagram and say, oh, my daughter has, congratulations, glory be to God, he's a lawyer now. The celebration should not be even be in the graduation. The celebration should be the process that have made them somebody and who they've become and who is that person. The celebration should be, my son is now a doctor. There's one more life that can be saved in Nigeria. The celebration should be, my son is now, my daughter is now a senator. There's going to be betterment happening. Not the title. If you celebrate the title, then you forget everything else.
Wow.
If you acknowledge and recognize what the title can allow somebody to display and how somebody can influence that title, then now you're focusing on character. You're focusing on who somebody is becoming, right? So when you send your kids to school, oh, make sure you're an engineer. You're an engineer. Every African, be an engineer, but we still don't have roads because engineering doesn't create roads. The mind and the heart is what uses engineering to create roads. So when you have engineering qualification, but you don't have the mind and the heart to create roads, you won't create roads. You rather buy a Range Rover or Bentley. And you don't have to go to university to have that mindset or that heart. You don't have to. It's free. So the problem about leadership and thinking about it as a position is this. Go to school, go to university so that you can become qualified and so you can have a job and you can look after your family. That is the idea and it's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying perhaps you could change it around. Maybe we can say go to school, go to university, use that opportunity to become your better self. Alongside, if you get fantastic grades and qualifications, amazing. But go through the system and become your better self. Go through that university process and that schooling process. This money I'm paying for you. I'm not paying for you to come back with a piece of paper. I am paying for you to go through it so you can become your better self and so you can have an impact. If we just start thinking like that, just that shift, then we start paying attention to the things that really change lives. Because we've had great men thousands of years. They never went to King's College or LSE University or Oxford. So I think for me, it's all about the mindset. And it's all about wanting to have an impact. It's wanting to create the space for people to be successful and for people to live their full self. For me, that's what leadership is. Anything outside that is an element of leadership, but it's not leadership.
Wow.
And position is one of those elements. My guy.
You know, I'm speechless right now because this are really deep stuff that, you know, I believe every young person should really listen to this, especially from Africa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Africa is where the heart is, you know? Africa is where the heart is. There's so much potential in that continent. The worst thing about being a resource or having resource is having it and not knowing it. You're better off not having anything than having everything and not knowing that you have everything. The man that has everything or the woman that has everything but doesn't know they have everything is as broke as the person that has nothing. So what makes the difference is not the resource. What makes the difference is the mind that is looking at or aware of the resource. You can give a baby, when you give a baby 20,000 naira, how do you think they're going to spend it? If you give 20,000 pounds to somebody who has discipline and understands having impact and using money to do the right things, how do you think they're going to spend it? It's the same 20,000 pounds or 20,000 naira. The difference is what's in here. So when people tell me, oh, Africa, we need better leadership, and they say we need better leadership because we need better policies and we need better institutions, my lecturer from King's always used to say institutions are made of people. They don't have legs. Policies don't have legs and hands. I'm sure in Nigeria there are policies in place, but nobody knows. Because if you import a policy and not focus on the mind and developing the mind, so the mind, because when the mind develops about something, it will need and it must create something to represent it. So when you develop the mind about climate change, the mind will now start to look for policies and things in place to represent what it's thinking. But if you just go and put policies and just start inserting policies like you're playing Lego, you're never going to see anything really come of it, because the mindset is not reflecting what is being what people are copying and pasting. Right? Because development in itself is to develop, is to go up a level, is to move up. So if the mind, which is where development really takes place, is not going up, anything else you bring in front of it, it really doesn't know how to deal with it, because the mind has not developed to reflect that. You can't cheat the human brain. I'm not a scientist, but you can't cheat the human brain. It really knows how not to use what it has not been exposed to creating. If you give me £50,000 today, or 100 grand, or £1 million, I probably wouldn't know what to do with it, because I never made it. So you wonder why a governor or somebody is corrupt or will mismanage money. It's because they've never created that amount of wealth. So they don't have the capacity to know how to deal with it, unless they put the right people together who know how to deal with it, because they've experienced it or they know how to make it, to maximize it. It is very normal for somebody to mismanage something that their brain has not gradually developed into creating and understanding.
Wow.
So leadership, essentially, that's why I say it's about who you're becoming. It's not about the position, but it's about the value you add to the positions. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think that for me, that discovery was powerful. You see lottery winners go broke after a couple of years. You don't blame them. If you've never seen 200 million in your life, and you've never been engaged in conversations of making millions and knowing how to do it, how are you going to know how to manage it? So the goal for us as young people is to constantly expose ourselves to the kind of interactions, the kind of conversations, the kind of experiences that allows our minds to grow and develop. The more of those experiences that we have, whether it's a book we are reading, whether it's a conversation we're having, whether it's a traveling to the next village we're having, the more of those things we have, and the more relationships we build on that journey with people, the more we become, and the more the impact we can create. Do you see what I'm saying? My biggest fear for the continent of Africa is that we confuse the reflections of development for development.
Wow.
That's my biggest fear. I see it in the Afrobeat music. I love my Afrobeat music. I see the copy and pasting of cultures that are different to ours, and they're missing out on the ingredients of the real ingredients of those cultures, and learning from those, and they're picking up from the crumbs, and they're using the crumbs to become their main meal. There's danger in using crumbs to be your main meal. For me, that's poverty. When you use the crumbs of somebody else to make your main meal, that means you're poor. But if you go and get the main meal from the right people, it means you're growing, you're on a certain level. So when I look back Gambia, when I see videos and things like that, I'm like, my people are taking the crumbs of others and missing out the detail of the main meal. But that's not something that somebody would easily know. That comes from conversation. That comes from having discussions like this. And then people start looking for it. And they start identifying what is the main meal and what is the crumbs. Leadership is recognizing that I am in this position now as a governor. I can't be driving a $400,000 car and my people outside are going during rain season are taking out their slippers so they can't get it destroyed by the mud water or potholes. Leadership is recognizing that what you're doing is bigger than you, and that you're supposed to continue on a journey that will be a journey worth remembering. Leadership is recognizing that everything I've known is great, but it's not greater than what I could possibly know and the future I could possibly create. So a culture like ours that is so big on this is how we did it lives in the past selectively, because we still want to drive latest cars and we have latest phones. But anything else, no, we want to be 200 years behind. We want to be how we did it, how our ancestors did it 200 years. That's okay. But we want the latest phone and the latest jet and the latest buildings. We want that one, but we don't want anything else. No, we don't want that. We don't want new thinking, but we want what the new thinking is creating, material-wise. So leadership is having that flexibility. I'll break it down for you. So leadership, for me, leadership is a relationship between a leader and a ship. The ship is, the S stands for, I broke down the S. So the S stands for sympathy. So having sympathy for people. The H stands for hope, giving hope to people. And the way you give hope to people is not by throwing money at them and giving them a bag of rice when it's election time. The I stands for inspiration. You inspire people not just by what you say, but mainly by how you make them feel. That is one of my biggest own challenges personally. I'm constantly in a battle of my upbringing, which has not set me up to do certain things that I want to reflect. And I'm constantly in that battle of getting to that point where my presence is a source of inspiration as much as possible. And that's what leadership is. And then the P is for persistence. You keep doing, you keep growing, you keep pushing yourself, you keep challenging yourself, you keep believing, you keep working hard, you keep networking, you keep learning, you keep growing, you keep developing, you stay persistent with all of those things. That right there with leader, which is the position perhaps, combined is what makes leadership for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Let me ask the question now. I believe a lot of young people would watch this again. That's one reason why I actually want to make it short, so that they see that, okay, it's something they can watch quickly. What advice would you give to people? You know, for me, why I'm doing this, it's to preserve the dignity of leadership in Africa. And not just in Africa, in the world at large. Because I believe that values are deteriorating each day and each time, and people are having to forget what really leadership truly means. So young people are coming to meet what has really been devalued. So doing this is to keep the value and the dignity of what it means to lead. What advice would you give to young people who all their life, what they've seen is a like functional definition of what leadership really means? So how can they come out of that bondage that they never created for themselves, but they were born into it? They grew into it. What would you tell young people like that?
I would tell them, when you know better, you try to do better.
When you know better, you try to do better.
If you know that there's a local governor, or there's a local whatever, there's a president, or there's a head teacher, or there's a principal of a school that has been behaving in a way that you question, it is your responsibility to challenge your upbringing, which has been exposed to that, to create something different. That's your responsibility.
Wow. I really want to watch this.
Yeah, that's your responsibility. And also, when you do that, start by questioning yourself. Where are you? Because when you're pointing fingers, you forget that to point finger, that means you're at an arm's length or at an eyesight distant with someone. That means you're in the same area. So if that person is getting wet under the rain, that means you're also getting wet. So when you're pointing the finger, start with yourself and ask yourself, what about that person am I also reflecting that I don't like, but I'm not even aware of? For me, I think leadership fundamentally also starts with being able to reflect.
Oh.
Being able to reflect, not just about other people, but yourself, mainly yourself. I don't like the way Gambian president, the last Gambian president, or even the first one. I think there's so many issues with the way they ran the country. I don't like how they led. But hold on a minute. I also grew up in that same area and I also grew up in that same country. How do I lead? Because we are what we're exposed to. Till we take a minute to reflect on what we're exposed to and then consciously decide that we want to create and reinvent something different. And to recreate and invent something different, you have to have a drive to do so. There must be something really powerful inside of you. You have to get something deep inside of you to want to do so. It is easier to do what others have done than to do something different, even if it benefits the people. So when Africans are like, oh, Nigerian leaders are bad, African leaders are bad, if you put them in position, they will do the same thing. If we go to the same university, in the same school, we sing the same songs, Abi. So it really starts from reflecting in self. Leadership is reflecting in self. It's looking at something that you don't like or something that you like, take yourself away from it, look at it and see how you can make it better, how you can repeat it or start something different. And how will that look like? And whilst you're doing it, don't do it alone. Get people with you. Share the idea with others.
Wow, wow, very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. One of the reasons why the question was asked is the fact that in Africa now, you barely find young people appreciating what is good because of over time, like they say, whatsoever is wrong and it's repeated often becomes truth. So eventually, if it's repeated, it is the truth. So that's why we make this come every time. Because we're trying to create in the conscience of the young people, this is how it should be. Because of the others, the evil is being done always, but the good is not being done always. So it comes once in a while. So if the good comes in between, and just as the evil is prevailing, the good is also as well prevailing. So it means that we can overshadow the evil if we're consistent with the good. So now, the last question I will ask before we leave, because I really want people to, because this is short but very powerful. I really want people to watch this, and I don't want this to be too long, so I'll be able to send to a lot of people to watch this. The last question is, before I came on, I was meditating on hope, and I realized that hope is one of the things that is keeping young people alive here in Africa. The fact that everyone is living on hope. Things are destroyed, things are bad, a lot of people complain about a lot of things, but what is keeping young people in Africa here is hope. What would you tell young people in Africa right now that are going through a lot of things, going through the mistakes of our past leaders and the shortcomings of our past leaders? What advice do you give to them to keep the hope burning? Because I believe this is very important for young people to know that it is possible for whatever thing they dream of Africa, whatever they dream of Gambia, whatever they dream of Nigeria, whatever they dream of Ghana can still be possible, so that they keep fighting irrespective of the setback that comes their way.
That's a very difficult question. I say it because I'm trying to reflect. When I was a teenager in Gambia, I had hope, but my hope was to leave the continent. And I'm sure many young people, if I was to bring a plane and leave it somewhere in Nigeria and say, free flight to leave Nigeria, you're going to Europe permanently, that plane will be packed in 20 seconds.
Yes.
But I'm being very honest, because when I was in Gambia, I wanted to leave because I knew that I wanted more for myself, and then the environment wasn't ideal. But this is about 15 years ago. Things are changing on the continent for a lot of people, but also for a lot of people, things are still the way they were 15 years ago before I left the continent. I would say keep hope in terms of, when you think of hope in terms of the journey you are going through to be your better self and be a contributor. When you think of hope in terms of the value you are adding on yourself and every opportunity that you have to do so. When you think of hope, think of hope in terms of not being the solution to everything around you, but having the intent, the heart, and the mindset to be proactive and a problem solver. That mindset shift in itself will create a life for you. People will come to you for answers. The problem growing up is a lot of people complained about everything and nobody fixed it, so nobody had anyone to run to. That is what I will say. And within, now that you're young, you have energy. We're young, we have energy. I don't know where this energy comes from when you're young or when you start getting old. I'm losing it already. I'm only 31. When you're young, you have energy. Work with your brothers and your sisters. Identify what you can do different. And it starts with the culture. The culture is basically habits. It starts with what you have been doing, your people have been doing, your ancestors have been doing. Look at the things that you think we can maybe adjust. What are the things we can adapt? You have the internet now. When you go online, yes, it's nice to look at, you know, who is flaunting money in Dubai and who's driving the new Rolls Royce. Because I realize that's one thing about, even when I go back to Gambia, people are obsessed with people who are just showing wealth instead of actually being obsessed about those people having wealth, showing them how they make the wealth. So when you go online, take the opportunity to, like how you reached out to me, take the opportunity to reach out to someone on this side and build a relationship and a genuine friendship. And start adding value to each other, because I need you just like you need me. The people, Africans on this side need Africans on the continent, both ways, vice versa. If you have some data, yeah, go on Instagram, great, but go on there and see and search about things in this part of the world and how they've done it. How do they build their roads? How did they come across? How did they come with the traffic light? Why did they do it? Why did they? Their hospital, how does it work? How many ventilators do they have in this hospital? What are ventilators for? Start just looking at these things that you are complaining about that you think your government should be doing. Just start researching, just start looking, having a chat. And then your mind will start to open, and then you start to see solutions to things. If we're waiting on our elders, no disrespect to them, if we're waiting on our fathers, aunties, mothers in Africa and Africans to fix Africa, we're dreaming.
Wow.
If you've lived 40, 50 years in a system that has kept Africa underdeveloped, what makes anybody think that within the next 6 months, that person is going to forget their whole 60-year experience and all of a sudden they're going to have new thinking? Right? So I say this very quickly. 2 things. I had a call with one of my friends from Gambia. He said to me, there's nothing in Gambia. I said, what do you mean? He said, there's no money, there's no infrastructure. I said, no, that's not the problem. I said, tell me, what do you think is really missing? He started thinking. He said, value and trust. I said, that's it right there.
Wow.
I said, do you have to go to university for value and trust? He said, no. Do you have to get a PhD for value and trust? You don't. It's free. It's a choice. You choose to say, I am going to be a person of integrity and I'm going to be a person of value. You choose to do that. You make that important to you. Nobody can make that important to you. You have to choose that you want to do that. And guess what? You would, as soon as you start saying and representing and living that lifestyle of value and being honest and truthful, what happens is people that have capital and are looking to do things and they know that truth and value is rare, they will come and find you. They will know where you are. You will be like, you'll be standing out everywhere you go. So yes, have ambitions. Yes, want to go places, travel. But think of the things you can do now without needing anything. It's free. Think about those things. And think about how can you really embed some of those traits into yourself. We're talking about leadership now.
Well,
You're cracking me up.
You know, let me end it with this. You know, in school, I found a problem. So I'm going to share this. I found a problem, and I knew we had issues with values. The value system was really bad. we had issues with integrity, we had issues with honesty, and then, I thought to myself, what can I actually do? It cost me money. It cost me money, but people thought I was a fool. But I was trying to actually leave the mentality in the minds of young people that I had dealings with. So I knew a lot of people, young people liked money and all of that. And I made it easy. I made it easy for them to believe that they should not have money is important, but don't make it be like a do or die. If I don't have it, I need to have it. I need to, So sometimes when they had problem, I came in for them. I had responsibilities too. And they were shocked. Wow, we're always willing to help. And I said, yeah, that's because I want to carry the same mentality and also help someone too.
Yeah.
Because of why some of our leaders in the past and their shortcomings had made things so difficult is because of they use those things against us. So they make you so broke, they make you so hungry that when they come with an offer,
you say yes.
You fall.
Yeah.
And I knew this was a trap. And I told myself, no, I would actually help the system. So for each person, I tried to help. But they didn't get it. They thought I just wanted to help, but they didn't know that it was a longer vision. So now that's like an impact and influence in the people's minds. So now they're beginning to think, wow, if Miracle could do this, I think I can also do this too. So now,
powerful.
I tell them, I'm being honest with you. Be honest with me. So before I start any business with you, I tell you, is it possible? If it's not possible, tell me the truth. You don't have to do this. So sometimes, I get calls in Nigeria. We have people call you, like try to dupe you. They say, hey, and we're from the bank, and then so I got a call yesterday, and one of them called me and told me, hey, so, and then I said, hold on, please hold on. I know you're scam, but hold on, just don't hang up, just hold on. How about we find something to do? I could help if we could do something together. So what exactly did you do? What exactly can you do? I said, oh, I'm not in school yet, but I intend to write an exams. And I felt, you see, that's really what it is. And I tried my best to make sure that I get in to write an exams.
That's
this is
what you just did there. That's leadership, bro. You
that's
had
it.
sympathy. You had sympathy. You gave him hope. You inspired him, and you stayed persistent.
And I think that's what young people really. And I'm so happy that I have you with this section, and that I'm really open that I would have this with you oftentimes to really, if it's possible physically as well. It's be very, very powerful.
Listen, I want to come to Nigeria. I want to come to Nigeria. I've been saying it for years. I would love to come to your university and spend a day with young people. Not because I know, but because I want to get to know them. But I think that we can do so much. I want to touch on money before you go, because I know money is a thing for a lot of people, including myself. Money is here. You are here. What's between here is what is the bridge that you need to build to get this. A lot of people don't understand that there needs to be a bridge. They think they can just jump and go get it. And by jumping to go get it, they drown. They do the wrong things. They get caught up. They get distracted. But if you focus on building the bridge, you will get to money. In fact, money will cross and come to you. And the way you build the bridge is to constantly add value to yourself and the people around you. The person that cut my hair, you see this nice haircut now? It's my younger brother. My younger brother started cutting his own hair a few years ago. He's doing it. Eventually, people started seeing his haircut. And they're like, bro, you cutting your hair? Yeah, bro, start cutting me. He started cutting people's hair. It's a full-time hustle for him now. Every day he's fully booked. You know what he did?
Wow.
He added value. He built a bridge. So if he was just distracted trying to run after money left, right, and center, he would miss out on building the bridge. He will drown. He will get confused and clouded. But it's like, you know what? I'm going to stay on this side. I'm going to build, put value or add value to myself. That value started building the bridge, and the bridge started getting to the money. Now he doesn't have to call me for me to go and get a haircut. I call him to go get a haircut. Guess what? The money's crossing to him now. He ain't crossing to the other side. The money is crossing to him. So I would just say that again. Running after money is the easiest and quickest way to be distracted. It's the most superficial sort of motivation. The naira was 500 naira to a pound a couple of months ago. It's 700. That's how unreliable money is.
What's
What's reliable is when you start adding value to yourself, because money is looking for where to stay.
Wow.
If you're running after money, that means money doesn't like you. If you create a space and add value to yourself and turn yourself into a source and a resource, money will come to you, because money likes to be around that. And it's taken me a long time to start processing this thing, because if not, you will get thrown left, right, and center. Anything that looks good and anything that's flashy, you start chasing. So as you know, I'm launching my youth leadership program in October, 1st of October. This would have been launched probably 5 years ago if I wasn't running after money. So whatever money I made has cost me 5 to 6 years of building something that if I built it 5, 6 years ago, would have not only been giving me money, but would have been exposing me to parts of the world I never dreamt of going to. That is the power of not going after money and being distracted by it.
Wow.
I'm done talking.
Whoa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wanted this to be within 30 minutes, but this is over 30 minutes, and I want to say thank you very much. I want to say thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for the things that you do that people have not seen, and I want to say thank you so much. It was a great privilege. Okay, let me honor Mr. Victor, and Mr. Victor is a presidential aspirant for Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks and greetings, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Greetings.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to say thank you very much for accepting this and for really changing mindset. And I believe a lot of young people are going to watch this, and then this will really empower them. Thank you so much. And then I'm waiting for you to see you in Nigeria one day. So,
soon, bro. Please, bro, send my love to every Nigerian, every African that you get a chance to speak to. Man, the continent is destined for great things, and we're the only people that can create it. And to create it, we have to create the mindset that can create it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye, sir.